This is what happens when you have an infection from an ingrown toenail. What happens is the side of your toenail that is the infection part that's, poking into your toe meat is the side that is removed. Does this feel good? No. Does this hurt really bad? Yes. And I especially have to be careful because I have a bleeding disorder called von Willebrand disease that is not fun to deal with. It's sucky, I guess you could say. But for people like me, little doctor's office things like this, just yeah, they're extremely dangerous for us people with bleeding disorders, which is why I would like to bring more, you know, knowledge and just get it out there to the public that, hey, people have bleeding disorders. It's a very true thing. It's true that most people, like their family, knows, but in our family, we didn't know. So the reason that we found out that I have a bleeding disorder and that it's genetic was not from any accidents per se as a child. We're just like, oh, you're clumsy, so you bleed a lot. So we didn't really think about that. But yeah, this could be very bad if you don't do it just right with bleeding disordered people. There's such thing as hemophilia and von Willebrand disease. I was diagnosed when I was 13. And it's kind of graphic the way that we actually figured out that that's actually what was going on with me because just I'll be honest, I am female, so I have, female reproductive organs. Born female, identify as female. But that's me. Anybody else, you do you. Love is love. Everything like that. I am part of the LGBTQ plus community. And but anyways, back to how I was diagnosed was I actually started my menstrual cycle for the very first time. I was 13 years old and I just didn't stop. Basically, I just kept going and going and going, and my flow was heavy to the point that I started hemorrhaging. And eventually it got to the point where I had basically bled most of my blood out and was in urgent need of medical care, which of course I got. Obviously, I'm still here. But yeah, at the emergency room, they're like, "Well, what is going on with you?" And all the doctors just couldn't figure out, like, well, it's just a period. What, like, how could it just be this heavy and go for this long? So, because it had been going for close to a month at that point when it finally broke down and I had to go to the hospital because I had actually collapsed and, fainted several times. Um, and it was a very terrible experience. I mean, I was 13 years old, just a child. I didn't know what was happening to me, like what was going on with my body. Just, it's terrible to think about. And, but I work through it to this day. I'm now 30, I'll be 31 in June. But, I hope that this story sheds a little light, on bleeding disorders in general, just because, That's something, and something as lightly as going to the dentist and having a tooth extraction is dangerous for me. And yes, in my other videos you see that there's a tooth missing, but that is because I had a really bad infection in that tooth, so they had to extract it, and I'm having to save up some money. I'm extremely poor, so I'm having to save up some money to get some bridge work done and to have some and have good looking teeth again, you know. Um but yeah, something like that. Like basically anything where it could bruise you and hurt you and start making you bleed, of course, is really something you have to watch yourself with a bleeding disorder, like shaving my legs, using a razor. That can be dangerous if I'm not extremely careful. But yeah, I just wanted to raise some light on that and let people know that von Willebrand disease is real and it is extremely hard to live with, especially me being female. But anyways, I hope you liked this video. If you would like to know more, just go ahead and subscribe, give me a like, and maybe share. And sorry, my dog is barking. Bye, guys.